Hi everyone, welcome back again. In this video, we are going to see inputs in Java. Let's get started. Java has two main types of input. The first one is the byte stream and the second one is the character stream. In this video, we will see the two types of input. We will also see how the keyboard input work and also how to read input efficiently using scanner and BufferedReader class. Starting with the byte stream, they handle raw binary data. They use classes from java.io package, and a package is just a collection of classes and interfaces that perform a specific task. For example, an input stream and file input stream classes here. They are used in handling raw binary data. Another example of a java.io package class is the system class that we used in the previous lessons when printing out data. The input stream class here can be used to read byte from files, and also it can be used to read from network sockets. The file input stream can also be used to read bytes from files. The other input in Java is the character stream, and it handles text or characters instead of bytes. Unlike the byte stream, it automatically decodes byte to characters, and it uses classes like reader, buffered reader, and input stream reader when decoding these bytes to characters. Keyboard input falls here because it reads from the system.in, and as we've said earlier, system class belongs to java.io package. Now let's dive deeper into this system.in because we will be using it to read data or characters from the keyboard. System.in is the predefined input stream in Java, and it is connected to the keyboard by default. But reading directly from it will give us raw bytes. So we usually wrap it in a reader or a scanner in order to decode those bytes into characters. Some of the classes that you can use is a scanner class or a buffered reader class. In this video, we are going to cover both scanner class and buffered reader class and see how we can read data or input from the keyboard, how we can decode it from bytes into characters, and how we can print it out to the screen. Let's get started. Create a new file and call it input.java, add a class and main method, and we will start with the scanner class. And to use the scanner class, we first have to import it because it is a pre-written library and it comes from the Java utils package. The moment you add this line here, that means that this scanner class is now available in our code. And also you can import the whole package by adding this asterisk. So this will import everything. But because we want only the scanner class and we don't want overheads, we'll just import that specific class. Then let's create the object of that class. Use the new keyword to instantiate it. Then inside this parenthesis here, this is where we pass our input source. And given that we are listening from the keyboard, we will pass system.in. And now we are ready to use the scanner. What happens internally is that scanner wraps around something called input stream reader. This reader has a stream where the scanner takes the characters, and then the input stream reader takes input from the system dot. So why do we need the input stream reader here? The input stream reader here acts as a bridge between the scanner and the system.in, because scanner reads characters and system.in, as we said earlier, returns bytes. And the work of input stream reader is converting those bytes into characters. And now the scanner can read from this stream here. Some of the various methods that you can use to take inputs of various data types are as follows. For example, you want to take an integer, maybe you call it a number like that. You can use sc next int. These are the other methods. For byte, you use next byte. Remember, sc is my object and I'm using dot notation to access some of the methods in that object which we created from the scanner class here. Now for byte, you use next byte. For long, it's next long, short, next short, boolean, next boolean, double, next double, float, next float. Then you can print them out. And I want to show you how to concatenate a variable with a string. For example, you might want to say integer here, then print that number that you input. So you can do number. And what this plus sign here does is that it will convert this variable into a string, and then it will join it with this string, and at the end it will be one uniform string, and that process is called concatenation or string concatenation. Don't worry much about it, because when we start working with the strings, we will see more about this method. You can do the same to the other variables here. That is how we can print them out. You can print an empty line here, and as you can see, I've used the string concatenation method to join those strings with their respective variables. Now let's take the input. First, let's compile our code, then we can run it. For the first input, I'll input a number there, which is integer, and make sure you enter an integer, otherwise it will throw an error like that. Then for the byte, you can put something from -128 to 127. I'll put 22. For long, you can put something long. For short, just other form of smaller integer. For boolean, it takes either true or false. For double, you can input your double there. For float, similar to double but a little bit smaller. Then, because we've entered everything, or our input here, now we can print it out. So this will print an empty line, and then it will be printed like this. So let's press enter. You see, that is how you use the scanner class. What if you wanted to take input from a string? How do you do that? For the string, let's first remove those. There are two methods. First one is taking one word, and you use the next like that. And when I mean one word, I mean that when you put something like hello Java, it will only read hello, and the moment it hits this white space, it will stop there. And this happens to all these methods here. When you input something like 1 2 3, then put a space, a scanner or this method will only read up to this point. The moment it hits white space, it stops there. So these leftovers are left inside the string. That was one way. The other way to take the string, maybe you want to read the whole line and ignore these white spaces that affect all these other methods here. There is one method called line like that. So when you input something like hello, it will read the whole line ignoring this white space here. That is how you can take string input from the keyboard. There is one common pitfall that beginners fall when using next line. When using these other methods here, the moment you press enter, this new line character is added to all of them. Here, the new line character is added like that. All of them, these 8 methods here. But all of them don't consume this new line character. The only method that consumes that new line character is this one. And you can only be prompted to enter a line if the string is empty. But if the string is not empty, this next line will not be prompted. So for example, when you put something like hello like that, when you press enter, this new line character will be added. And because these are, when you're taking other inputs like method, because all of them ignore this new line character, this new line character will be left inside the string. And when it comes here, the next line will go here, or the scanner will go to the stream and find that the stream is not empty because there is a new line character. So it will consume this new line character and return nothing. To prevent that, we have to clear the stream, and to clear the stream, you use next line again, and this one is specifically for clearing the string. So it will go back to the stream and find the new line character like that, and it will consume it and leave the string empty. So when this line is reached, it will go to the stream and find the stream is empty, and now it will prompt you to enter the string. That is how you use the scanner and the next line, and I've shown you the common pitfall that people fall when using these other methods in combination with next line. We've used these other methods here, but we did not try to use next line and next. So that will be your homework. Go try to use it. Try to skip this method here and see what I'm telling you, that this line will be skipped. That was scanner class. Next, we are gonna see about BufferedReader. To use BufferedReader, we first have to import it, BufferedReader, and it comes from the java.io package. And you import it like this. And then after that, you create an object. I'll call mine br. Then instantiate it like that. And then inside here, we'll pass our keyboard. When you do that, this one will throw an error because BufferedReader cannot read bytes. What you are trying to do is this, direct it to system.in. So BufferedReader, unlike scanner, does not have internal input stream reader here, and we need to input that or use the input stream reader here as a bridge between BufferedReader and system.in. You might be reading from a file and not a keyboard, and if you are reading from a file, input stream reader will be of no use there. That is why they omit it, to make sure that if you want to read from the keyboard, you explicitly add the input stream reader yourself. If you are reading from a file, you can change this one to something like file reader, something like that. So let's add input stream reader ourselves, and to do that, we use input stream reader like that. And because it is a pre-written class, we have to import it again, and it comes from java input output package 2. And let's create an object. I'll call mine ir, then use the new keyword to instantiate it. And now here we can pass our system.in. Then in our BufferedReader, we'll use this input stream reader that we've created to act as a bridge between the system.in and BufferedReader. Let's now take an input. Some of the methods that you can use is readline like that, and this method returns a string. And unlike scanner, we don't have next here or next int or next byte. We only use this readline. And because it returns a string, you can do str, then readline. Then I forgot to use br here, dot readline like that. It is a method that is inside the BufferedReader class. But as you can see, there is an error here. It says that we have an unhandled exceptional type error. That is because BufferedReader might be reading from a file, and without handling that error, when Java finds that there is no file that you've stated here inside the BufferedReader, it might crash implicitly without telling you the cause. But if you handle that error and Java goes to your disk and find that there is no such file, it will throw an error because you handled that error. And to do that, you add these keywords here, throws, then io exception, which is also a class from the java.io package. So you import it too. When you do that, that error disappears. Don't worry much about this because we'll talk much about it when we reach the error handling section, where we learn about try catch, how to throw errors like this, how to handle errors, and other stuff. And also in that section, we'll work with BufferedReader deeply, where we'll see how to even read data from files. That is how you use the BufferedReader to read data. But what if you want something like an integer? So let's say I want an integer like that. What do? You have to convert this string directly to number, and you cannot typecast it. To do that, use something called wrapper classes, and you can do integer.parseInt like this, and then pass your string here like this. So this one will try to convert this string directly to a number. If it is a boolean, br, I'll say is true, use the wrapper class of boolean. Same goes to float, double, long, and byte. This is how you use BufferedReader. And unlike the scanner class, you don't have to clear the string.